singing. It's good to hear singing like that in the church.
Amen.
Lately, been going through the book of James. Some of the people in the past have called it a straw epistle. And it's kind of sticky because it really hits you. It hits Christians real hard. But it's still a book that we need to study and learn. And we're in verse 6 today. And the first 5 verses, it's a letter basically. And the first verse is James introducing himself and to who he's writing the letter to. And then he says to count it joy when you fall into temptations. And that the trying of your faith is working out patience. And to have patience, to let it do it, to do its work in you. And seek wisdom by asking God for it. And then verse 6. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. Have you ever felt like when you're going through life, you've just been tossed about? James is telling us here to ask in faith. Ask God to guide and direct us. And we're to ask that in faith. And we're not to doubt what God's doing. We're to believe that God will get us through. Because if we start doubting, we'll be tossed about like a wave. And backing that up, I want you to look at Matthew 14, starting in verse 24, going through verse 33. Now this is just a little bit after Jesus had fed people on the mountain. Fed them 5 loaves, 2 fishes, about 5,000. And as they were leaving, Jesus went up into the mountain to pray and told the disciples to go on across to the other side. Starting in verse 24 of Matthew chapter 14. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a spirit," and they cried out for fear. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, Of a truth thou art the Son of God. Okay, there you got into a wooden ship. Storm came up, and it was blowing all over, much like they're experiencing down around Florida off the coast now with that hurricane. Those waves are going every which way but straight because of the way the wind's blowing, making a circle. Those waves are contrary. Any ships out there going up and down, weaving side to side, pitching back and forth, it's not a very comfortable ride because there's no rhythm to the waves. And the people on those ships, they're holding on. It's very hard to relax when you're in conditions like that. I don't know if any of y'all have ever been down on the lake and had a storm come up and catch you out there in the middle of it. But it's the same thing. You can't relax. You can't rest. You just have to kind of hunker down. And if you're in your bed, you just have to kind of wedge yourself in somehow to where you stay fairly still. But you can't relax your posture, because if you do, you're getting tossed out. Verse 25, it says the fourth watch. Back then, their watches were 3 hours long. And so the fourth watch would have placed it around 3 to 6 in the morning. So they had been up that day before, set out later on that night, and they still hadn't made it all the way across the sea. And between 3 to 6, I don't know if any of y'all have ever stood a watch or worked during that time on third shift, but your 3 to 6 or your 4 to 8 watch is one of the roughest to do, because you might have been able to get some sleep before, but how much sleep were you able to get? Probably not much. And then you're looking forward to going home and going to bed and getting some more sleep. And your body is drained. You're just physically drained of work. It's hard to stay awake and focused on what you're doing, especially when you've been tossed about with hurricane winds and contrary waves, just being tossed back and forth. And even then, Jesus is still seeking us. And not only is Jesus looking for us with his eyes, he's walking through that storm, searching for us, looking for us, wanting us to come to him. Now in verse 26, and again this follows on with it being early in the morning. The disciples are tired. They see this form coming across the water. Looks like a human. Ghostly in appearance maybe. And you know, your mind knows, there is no one alive that can walk on water especially in the middle of a storm like this. What's going on? Must be some type of spirit. And that's why it frightened them, it scared them. When they saw it, it scared them. And the disciples were tired. Now, I'm not talking a tired, you just finished mowing the yard tired. I'm talking, you're so tired, your bones feel tired. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that, but spent 20 years in the Coast Guard, as most of y'all know. I was in 40-foot seas. And you get so worn out, your bones ache and hurt because of it. And so they could have been feeling like that. And then all of a sudden, coming across the water towards you, some type of figure. You know there's nothing out there. You know there's no lights out there. And that no human, no flesh and blood person can walk across the water like that. And your brain starts thinking, what's going on? What am I seeing? And then this figure speaks to you. Do not be afraid. Be of good cheer. It is I, Jesus. He doesn't say it is I, Jesus, but you recognize the voice. He's been calling out, looking for you. He's saying, do not be afraid of this storm that you're going through. I am here. You get to thinking, wait a minute, could that really be Jesus? Could that really be him? And so that's why Peter asks and says, Jesus, if that's really you, bid me to come out onto the water to you. And Jesus says, come. He doesn't chastise Peter saying, you can't walk on the water, you know that. He says, come. Come to me. And so Peter gets out. And he steps out of the boat onto that water, walking on the water. And he's looking straight at Jesus. But then maybe a wind comes up, hits him on the side of the face. Or he gets a big wave crash over him. Then he kind of does that number where he shakes his head. Something's startled him, he kind of wakes up, maybe. And he gets looking around. You know, wait a minute. I'm getting scared now. Because I'm out here I'm walking on water, but I'm not supposed to walk on water. Look at these waves, how tall they are compared to when I was in the boat. And as he starts saying that, and he's looking around, he starts to sink. Now, whether or not it was a plunging sinking, or if he was a slow sinking, doesn't say. We don't know. All we know is Peter lost sight of Jesus. And Peter did the only thing he knew to do. He cried out, Jesus, save me. Because he knew Jesus was still there, but he had lost sight of him. And so, Jesus stood saying, nah, look for me, when you find me, you'll be saved. He didn't do that. He doesn't say that. Jesus reaches out, just like he's reaching out now, to each and every one of us. We don't know each other person's struggle they're going through. But I can guarantee you this. Jesus is reaching out to each one of you saying, here I am, take hold. Take my hand. Jesus grabbed hold of Peter, pulled him up out of the water, and they got into the boat. And not until they got in the boat did the seas calm down. And then Jesus was asking Peter, why did you start to doubt? How come you did not have faith? Have the same amount of faith you had when you were here in the boat asking to come out to me? How come you lost that faith? How come you took your eyes off of me? That's what James 1:6 is saying. When we ask in faith, believing that God will take care of us. But we are to keep our eyes on Jesus. We are not to take our eyes off of Jesus, because when we do, that's when we start getting hit from all sides by the world's problems. We start going, why did Jesus let this happen, like down in Texas? Or why is this hurricane here? Or why did Jesus allow that little baby to die? Or why did Jesus allow that baby to be shot? And now that family's got to go through all sorts of medical problems. But if we keep our eyes on Jesus, we know Jesus has got everything in control. He's the one in charge of it. And when we go through trials and tribulations of our life, like James has been talking about, it's been directed towards Christians, towards the people that have believed on Christ. And he's telling us, keep your eye on Jesus. Yeah, you might have these problems, but keep your eye on Jesus. Focus on Him. And all this other stuff that's going on around you will be nothing, because of what Jesus will give you through the peace, the faith, the patience, and the joy. And so as Jesus is standing with us today, He's got His hands stretched out, saying, come, I'm here. Give me all your problems. I will take care of them. You can have rest in me. And we just have to let God and let Jesus take control of it. And say, Jesus, here is this problem. It's yours. Take it. You have control. I'll put my faith in you to get me through it.
Amen.
And so, as we get ready to sing our invitation, hymn number 347, if you have something you want to pray about, I'll be down in front. If you've never trusted Jesus as your Lord and Savior, I'll be down in front. Jesus is calling, asking, pleading for you to come to Him and to give Him all of your problems. And He will save you.
Amen.
If you would like to join our fellowship, we'd be more than happy to have you join us. I'll be down in front waiting to receive you. Whatever you have, whatever decision you need to make as we get ready to sing, I'll be down here in front if you'd like to speak with me.